My sister is upset I babysit my friend's baby over her nightmare kid. How can I get my family to understand that her kid is a nightmare? We have a 23 female OP, a 30 female sister, and we have friends that are 23 male and 22 female. Originally posted to r/relationship advice and r/am I the a-hole on July 23rd, 2024. I'm a 23-year-old child-free woman. I don't know if this is needed for the story, and my sister is 30 with a 4-year-old son. She's a single mom. Ex-husband is not in the picture and has no contact with her or the kid. I'm gonna blame the kid for these issues, but my sister refusing to get him treatment or help makes the kid a nightmare to be around. So, as a result, I don't babysit the kid when my sister asks, more like demands. I do so. This causes a lot of fights between us and our family. I have a friend, 23 male, who's married to a wonderful lady aged 22, and they have a baby boy together who just turned 1. Yes, they got married and had him young, but it's not my place to judge them. This past weekend, they asked me to babysit for them, and I agreed for a few reasons. Their kid is calm, well-behaved, and a general good kid/toddler/baby to be around. I love babysitting him. Also, they asked me nicely and understood that I might say no because I'm child-free. They were polite about their request. I mean, I think that makes all the difference right there. Like, not even taking into account that your sister's child is a nightmare to be around because your sister refuses to get him treatment and help that he needs, but also just the fact of like demanding versus politely asking with the option to say no goes such a far way. It's respectful to how the option should be, which is like OP has the option to say no. OP has the option to be like, hey, yo, I just don't fuck with babies like that. Or I'm busy. I got shit to do. Or, hey, I don't really want to. Whenever you're asking a favor of somebody, you have to ask them very politely and give them the opening to say no. You can't demand a favor of anybody. And it is truly a favor to look after anyone's baby, even your own family's. It should never be demanded. I firmly stand behind that. I get the whole it takes a village mentality, but that doesn't mean that you're entitled to that village to support you whenever you feel like it. That village can help you out as a favor that you understand is them going above and beyond to help you. That's how I think of it. A thing about me is that if you ask me to do something politely, even if it's something I wouldn't usually agree to, I'd probably do it because you were nice and polite. So for these reasons, I happily agreed to babysit the boy. My sister also asked me to babysit her son that day, so she could have a day to herself, and I refused and told her I was already babysitting for my friends. She was pissed, to say the least. She said a few comments about how I was an ass and not a good sister, but I thought she dropped it after that. This past weekend, while I was watching the baby, my sister started banging on my door and looked through the window and saw that she had her kid and a care bag with her. And I knew she was trying to drop him off and make me babysit. She was banging on the door, yelling at me, and calling me heartless and a baby hater while I was holding a baby. Ironic. And that I better open up and do my sisterly duties. This is just fucking dumb. Absolutely not, bro. I just seriously will never understand people who feel like they are entitled to hawk off their own kids that they chose to bring into this world and that they have sole responsibility for onto other people. There is no sisterly duties around caring for a niece or nephew. I truly believe that. If they want to, if they're down to help, it's not a duty, it's a favor. I put the baby in a different room to keep him from getting scared by the noise and told my sister through the window to leave or I would call the cops. She started cursing for a solid 5 minutes before she finally left. I had the whole thing on my doorbell camera and sent it to the family group chat. Surprisingly, my whole family is on my sister's side. She keeps arguing with me about how I'd rather babysit a kid not even related to me over my nephew. I reminded her that her kid is a nightmare to be around, but she keeps saying that for family, you help out. My sister has been cold since and keeps sending me text messages to provoke me into arguing with her more. She's also started saying some pretty ableist and nasty things towards my friend's wife. My friend's wife is on the spectrum and has BPD, and my sister keeps saying that she should have been sterilized and never should have passed her issues to her kid. By the way, her kid has shown none of the signs that autistic infants usually show, so I don't know what my sister is on. Exhibit A of just the most dog shit human being on this planet that should not be having kids. In no way, shape, or form should this person be having kids. I think OP needs to go no contact with all of them, bro. If your whole family's on your sister's side, that is not a family you want to be a part of, bro. Low to no contact. That's my advice. I will admit that I do feel a bit guilty because I never considered babysitting my nephew, but I jumped at the opportunity to babysit my friend's kid. My sister, dad, 66, mom, 64, and brother, 33, are all calling me an asshole and saying that I'm just using the child-free label to avoid family responsibility. I need advice on how to get my family to see my perspective on this. How can I explain to them that the issue isn't the idea of babysitting, but it's the behavior of the kid. I mean, bro, it should be about both, in my opinion. In no way should someone feel comfortable hawking off their poorly behaved kid that, I mean, this woman can't probably even see it because she's ableist as fuck, but like the kid has issues because she refuses to get treatment and help for him. And because of that, he's a nightmare to be around. Like, not only is that just like not something that I think you're ever required with, whether it's family or not, to deal with if you don't sign up for it, but like, that's not your responsibility. I don't know who needs to hear this, bro. Just because you're family doesn't mean that you need to bend over backwards to make their life easier when there's a kid involved. Like, I'm OP, bro. I'm putting my foot down. I'm being like, number one, I'm not required just because I'm your family to watch your kid. Hey, if that's the case, hawk it off to the mom, the dad, the brother. Like, hey, if that's how y'all want to live your life, like, you help her problem child whenever you want. But me personally, no. I think OP needs to put their foot down. If they keep pushing on it, go low to no contact with this family. Like, they don't even sound like a pleasant family to have around, bro. What are you getting out of this family? Probably nothing solid other than headaches like this. Ooh, I have a feeling the OP is the family scapegoat. You're probably right, Element OP. I couldn't imagine being in a family like that. If any of my sisters have kids, I'm going to want to be around to help them out. But it's because I know they would never demand for me to watch their crotch goblins like that. Like, I want to be around because I'm going to care and I'm going to want to be like a part of those kids' lives. But like, that's because I want to. If I didn't want to, I would have no obligation. All right, a commenter said, just ignore your sister, maybe even block her. She isn't entitled to you as a babysitter. As for your family, black kettle them. So when are you babysitting sister's kids, since family should care for family? OP, my brother, 33, which I should have mentioned, has a wife and kids, so he can't babysit. And my parents are in their early/mid 60s, also probably should have mentioned, and claim to be too old to do so. I'm the youngest and was a whoops baby my parents had in their 40s by chance. Here's the thing. These are not good excuses. Oh, wee woo, you're in your 60s. You can fucking still look after a kid in your 60s. That's a shitty excuse. Like, my grandparents used to take us and like handle us. They just don't want to deal with the nightmare child. I guarantee that's the real reason. Also, I would argue it makes more sense for the brother to take the kid in because he also has kids for the kids to hang out with. I've been hawked off to go hang out with my cousins plenty of times because it's easier when there's multiple kids and like the other kids can be entertainment for each other. That's just a shitty excuse. Because of my young age and the fact I'm not married and don't have kids, they keep saying I'm the perfect person to babysit because I have nothing to do, not even taking into consideration that I have a job and friends of my own. Another commenter said, why can't your brother take care of him if he already has experience with his own kids? OP, in the words of my family, he already has his own family responsibility. You have none. Yes, that's pretty much their response to when I ask why can't my brother babysit the kid. My brother also deep down knows the kid is a nightmare, even as much as he tries to ignore it, along with my sister and parents. Yeah, OP doesn't have a kid because she doesn't want to deal with kids every day. Like, To a different commenter, OP said, his kids don't like spending time with her kid because he's had violent meltdowns and hurt them before. The kids avoid that boy like the plague. I don't blame any of the kids in that situation. My sister's son clearly has behavioral and or mental issues that cause him to react violently to overstimulation, which is not his fault. He needs help so he can develop ways of controlling his meltdowns. I don't know if that's the right phrase, and keep his emotions in check. My brother's kids, while mature for their age, are kids and don't fully understand why he acts the way he does, and therefore harbors resentment and dislike towards him. I feel bad for all the kids involved. Nobody is winning. Commenter said to mute the group chat and contact experts for advice on the nephew. OP replied, I've muted the group chat and I know that this is a me issue, but I can't help but check on it every few hours and feel bad about causing a fight. I'm soft, I know. As for my nephew, I don't mean to sound rude, but what good would that do? Yes, I can have an expert weigh in their opinion, but at the end of the day, my sister won't get him help. So what would be the point? Once again, I don't mean to be rude. Listen, I think OP needs to drop this family. But if OP wants to keep some sort of relationship with the family, I think it would be beneficial at least for the nephew. If OP said, I will babysit your kid more often if you get him treatment and help. Do I think that OP owes them that? No. But if OP really wants to keep having a relationship with their shitty family and get help for this nephew, I think that's a fair ultimatum. Like, that's like the only solution that like kind of makes sense with OP's current logic of like, I don't want to babysit kid because of nightmare. You don't want to take kid to the doctor because you don't believe in it. I will only commit to babysitting this kid sometimes if you take this kid to the doctor so that he's not a nightmare while I babysit him. I don't think that's OP's responsibility. I don't think OP owes that, but if OP's still going to be in contact with them, that's the only solution I see that isn't going no contact with them. Commenter, if she plans to send her child to public school, her neglect will become extremely obvious when he is unable to manage himself and she tells mandated reporters she refuses to get him the help he needs. OP, this issue already came up. He's close to turning 5, and last year he was supposed to be in preschool. He was enrolled, and of course, the workers/teachers noticed his issues right away and tried to convince my sister to sign him up for the SPED program in preschool and for behavioral therapy. She outright refused, went off on them, and pulled her kid from the program. He's going to start kindergarten in the fall, and my sister said if they insult her son, she'll pull him out and homeschool him. I feel bad for my nephew because it's not his fault he was born with these kinds of issues that cause him to act out when he gets overwhelmed. I sincerely hope my sister wakes up and gets some help, or that once he grows up, he'll get help himself. I mean, shit, bro. Honestly, like, homeschooling him might be what she needs to finally accept that he needs help. Homeschooling him will not be easy. Like, she's gonna have even less time than I'm guessing she has right now taking care of him. So, like, I mean, it still sucks. She should just be a good mom and get the kid the help that he needs, but, like, I don't know. I also just think this mom needs to, like, eat shit. I'm actually a little concerned with how she deals with his behavior. I know I'm kind of jumping here, but like genuinely parents like these sound like the parents that raise serial killers. Not saying this kid is a serial killer, but like when they neglect a kid so hard and are so not open to getting them help, I'm guessing they're gonna resort to other methods. It's just so sad. Does the family know the kid is a nightmare? OP, they know the kid is a nightmare. They keep trying to pretend he's not and ignore the issue, but they know. They don't want to piss my sister off by mentioning it, as she goes nuclear with insults and fights whenever someone brings it up. I love my family, I love my nephew, and I love my sister, but is it so wrong to just ignore the issues he has? He needs help. There's something wrong in his head. I'm not saying that to be mean or cruel or ableist in any form, but it's true. Yeah, I feel like OP is just like saying how it is. Like she doesn't need to like backpedal. I feel like she's doing a good job at just being like, hey, there are issues. I don't think it's ableist to like point out that there are issues. If anything, that's like anti-ableist. This is a response to a longer comment from OP. I really hope I wasn't offensive with my wording. It feels wrong, question mark, to say this kid has things wrong with him in his head or he's messed up in the head, but I genuinely don't know how else to describe it. I really don't phrase it that way to be mean or ableist or any kind of ist or phobic, but that's the only way I can think of to describe it without any diagnosis. I don't know how much help CPS would be. We live in a small town in the South. I don't even know if CPS has an office down in our town/district. The nearest town over is a rundown city with a high crime rate, child abandonment rate, and drug use rate. So I can imagine that CPS offices there are probably overwhelmed. Okay, I'm guessing this is in response to a comment that says, sounds like she, OP's sister, has mental health issues too. OP responded, I don't want to speculate, but I don't think she does. I think she's just ableist towards mental health disorders specifically. I'm not saying that mentally ill people can't also be prejudiced towards others with disorders and mental illnesses, but she doesn't show any signs of having any mental illness, so I don't think she has any. I could always be wrong, as I'm not a therapist or doctor, but this is just my perspective from growing up with her. Commenter, maybe when he's too much for everyone else in your family and she really has no help at all, she will take steps to get her son the guidance he needs. OP, my parents used to try and tell her this when he was a smaller toddler and showing these behaviors. They were more tame then and have escalated as he got older. She blew up, said that if they kept insulting her kid, she wouldn't let them see him again. Obviously, I can't imagine the position that put my parents in. They love their children and grandchildren, so I can imagine a threat like that would make them cave. OOP gives some insight on the sister's point of view. The problem is my sister doesn't want him to be diagnosed with anything. She has this belief that kids are overdiagnosed as a way for pharmaceutical companies and hospitals to get more money out of parents and insurance companies. And I agree to an extent that we do have an issue of over-medicalization in our country and that we tend to slap pills and medication over the problem rather than find a way to actually resolve it. However, that doesn't mean I think that medication isn't the solution in some cases. I don't know what would help my nephew, but I'm pretty sure that doing nothing is worse for him. No, I actually agree with this. I think OP's perspective on this is great. Obviously, pharmaceutical companies make more money if more people are on the meds. So therefore, it's in their best interest to over-medicate as much as possible. That being said, there are times, and this is definitely a case, where medication 100% is necessary for someone to function in society. OOP's family and their views. My parents and brother don't share the same beliefs about mental illness that she does, and I was in no way raised in any way that could even remotely cause that belief. I'm still shocked, angry, and horrified she said that about my friend's wife. I almost feel like I need to address it by itself. She literally said my friend should be sterilized and prevented from having kids because she has a mental illness. I can't even wrap my head around how cruel someone can be to say that a woman who's always wanted to be a mom and is a great mom should be sterilized simply because she has a mental illness. Yeah, no, that was just some heinous ass shit to come out of her mouth. And also, like they mentioned, like talk about the kettle calling the pot black. Like that is insane. I would argue that OP's sister, out of anybody in this story, is the person who should not be fucking having kids. Like if you at all relate to OP's sister, please do us a favor and sterilize yourself. We do have a couple of last few clarifications from OP. Number one, my sister makes enough money to live comfortably with her and her son. Hiring a sitter would put a bit of strain on that. They're in that financial bracket where they're comfortable, but they can't afford expensive things or afford to pay for extra things. I guess you could say they are lower middle class. 2, according to my parents, they are too old. My mom retired early from a state job and has a part-time easy job, and my dad is still working a different state job for a few more years. 3, my sister's ex isn't the dad. My sister has red-brown hair. Her husband had brown hair. Kid came out with very light blonde hair. My family didn't see this as odd because I have a very light, white-looking blonde hair color, and one of my nieces also has blonde hair, so we just figured my sister carried the recessive gene. Husband wasn't suspicious of anything either until sister broke down in a panic at the blonde hair and confessed that while they had been on a short break after a fight, she had slept around a bit. Husband left because he didn't agree to opening the marriage during the break and didn't sign the birth certificate. Sister has no idea who the father is and has no way to get in contact with any of the guys she slept with. Oh, God, and this woman's a mother. Oh, man, that poor fucking kid, bro. I just feel bad for this kid. Like, if the kid doesn't get help when they're younger, I just can't imagine that this doesn't snowball into this kid having more problems in the future that make it even harder to bounce back from the problems that they're already having. I also have to say, I think it's so irresponsible of OP's parents to just sit back and allow their daughter to pull this shit with their grandson. Like, I would much rather not have contact with my grandchild than sit around and let my child ruin their kid because they refuse to believe that there are some kids who do need help from doctors and that there are real issues. Like, I'm basically just trying to say, I think the grandparents are complicit in this. I think the grandparents are only allowing OP's sister to further ruin this child's life. I think it would be more noble for them to sacrifice a chance at being able to hang out with their grandchild than just like letting it happen, bro. It's just disgusting behavior. Update post July 26th, 2024, 3 days later. So, shit has hit the fan. My original post was about 3 days ago, and ever since that post, my sister's behavior escalated. I tried to talk to her about getting help for my nephew, and she kept screaming at me every time I brought it up. She said a lot of derogatory terms towards people with mental illnesses and mental disabilities, terms I won't repeat here. That wasn't the only escalation. She was at my door several times a day starting 2 days ago, the day after I made my original post. Banging on my door, screaming, crying, cursing, the works. She brought my nephew each time, and he always looked so confused and defeated. He was too tired to react or melt down like he normally does around loud noises, and it broke my heart to see that on my doorbell camera. I wasn't at my house. I was crashing with my friend and his wife. I took the advice of a commenter who said to put some physical distance between me and my sister. They said I was free to stay as long as I wanted, as long as I helped out with some house chores and childcare while I stayed, which I thought was more than fair. So I'm staying in their guest room currently. I'm still with them, even though my sister isn't much of a problem. Many will be glad to know that my sister won't have parental rights over my nephew soon. She dropped him off at a safe haven site in the middle of the night. Totally a fun phone call to wake up to at 2 in the morning. And my nephew is currently with my parents. I mean, shit, bro, that's probably the best move. Like, as much as that's fucking shitty, like, at least now maybe she'll lose custody of the kid and the kid can actually get the help that he needs. Damn. Social services placed him with my parents and he's set to have mandatory therapy. In my state, don't know if it's different in others, if a child is abandoned in any way, safe haven or not, a physical and mental health exam is done. Other than being a little bit underweight, my nephew was physically healthy. He wasn't being physically abused like a few people were worried, but it was obvious he needed mental health. So he'll be starting therapy sessions soon, as mandated by a caseworker. We are not looking for my sister. After she dropped her son off, she left. She had quit her job a few weeks back, sold her car, and even her house a few weeks ago, and had been renting a place. So this was planned. In my personal opinion, she planned to abandon her son the day I was babysitting my friend's baby, which is why she had such a nuclear reaction. She did leave a note saying she can't do it anymore. She met someone and that she doesn't want to be a mom to my nephew anymore. In her note, she said she deserves a normal kid and not a burden like my nephew. I seriously hope that my sister doesn't have any more kids with this mystery person she's referencing, but it seems like she's running off to start a new life and family. She still has 30 days to reclaim rights over my nephew, but it doesn't look like she'll do that. Time will tell. Oh, please, for the love of God, I hope she doesn't. Like, don't get me wrong, I really hope karma's coming her way because no mom should just abandon their child, but like, for this child's sake, this might be the best move. Like I said, I'm still with my friends because I was worried my sister would do something. My parents and brother have also been blowing up my phone and coming to my house, switching between apologies and blaming me for this. Dude, honestly, fuck this family. How are you gonna blame them for this? There's only one person to blame, and it's your fuck-ass daughter who dropped off her baby because she refused to believe that he had mental health issues. Like, what do you mean you're gonna blame OP? They think that maybe if I babysat that day, she wouldn't have done this, but I think she wanted me to babysit so she could do this. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister's... OP, come on, bro. The fuck do you mean you're not mad at them for blaming you? I understand that my sister is still their family and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. That's an explanation, not an excuse. Nah, bro. I think low contact with this family minimum. I understand being upset, but the only blame that is to be blum, that's not the right word, but it seemed like the right thing to say. The only blame to be going around right now is on this sister. And I think it is incredibly unfair and incredibly, I'll say it, abusive for them to continue to be harsh and blame OP. That is not a family you ever want to be around. I think OP needs to be more mad, y'all. I will always appreciate a very understanding human being, but there's a point where understanding becomes letting yourself get walked on. And I've been there, chat. I've been there. And this is just coming from somebody who looks back at times when I let people walk on me, but wish I would have stood up for myself instead. So yeah, that's life right now. I'm currently sitting on the couch with my friend's baby while my friend is at work and his wife does a quick grocery run. She was going to take the baby, but I insisted on watching him so she didn't have to hassle with the car seat in the very stormy weather we have in our area right now. This update is all over the place. I feel like I'm rambling. There's still a lot of unknown stuff regarding my sister and nephew, but for now, this is the update. I don't know if I'll post more regarding this situation. My friend's wife is telling me I should relax and just not think about anything relating to this until I'm more level-headed, but I don't think that's possible. There is one relevant comment and a response from OP. Commenter, your sister clearly has her own severe mental health issues she's refusing to acknowledge. As fucked up as it might have been, this is the best for your nephew. Also, I didn't know you could just drop off a child at any age at a place like that. I thought any child over 2 couldn't be released like that. OP, I don't know my state laws, so I don't know. Because I'm not directly involved in the case, I'm not getting updates. When I say we are not looking for her, I mean me and my family. Police could be looking for her, but I'm out of the loop on this whole case. I really do hope that one of these 2 updates have some sort of karmic retribution for OP's sister, because by God, do I want this sister to suffer. Update post 2, August 6th, 2024, 11 days later. I think this is coming in as an Am I the A-hole post, because the title is, would I be the a-hole for forgiving but not forgetting my family for blaming me for what my sister did? My sister abandoned her 5-year-old son a little less than 2 weeks ago and fled. Police are looking for her, but she hasn't been found yet. My nephew is with my parents and is in therapy. When this first happened, my parents were quick to blame me because I had refused to babysit the kid in the past and the weekend before my sister ultimately abandoned him. They think had I babysit him that day, she wouldn't have fled. I've been staying with my friend since then, and oh my God, it's chill here. They're young parents with a baby, and yet it's chill here. Everyone is happy. They talk things out when there are issues. They work together. I've met both parents of my friends, and they're nice and polite. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I have seen some bickering, and they always find a way to resolve it. Growing up, my parents always argued a lot. My siblings were always loud and cruel to each other at times, and there always had to be someone to blame. If you were the person who was blamed, you were insulted and shunned for a while, then they would apologize. You were always expected to forgive and forget. My parents are trying to apologize to me about their blowout at me regarding my sister, and I can understand their initial feelings. I'm willing to forgive, but I know my family will also expect me to forget, but I can't forget. I don't think I can forget this whole situation, so I'm wondering if I would be the a-hole if I choose to forgive them, but refuse to forget this whole thing. I still think OP needs to go no contact with this entire family. Like, just based off of that post too, like, I can tell this family's toxic as shit. Like, if you saw a family function like a normal family should function, and you were like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Girl, go no contact with your family and get therapy. In no way has OP's family acted in the proper way throughout this entire story. Every single corner, every turn, every new information that is presented to us, the family reacts in a terrible way. I just think at a certain point, it's like, let's just keep the peace for yourself as a human being who doesn't want to live in a constantly hostile family. Unless that's what you want your reality to be until the day that you die, I think you just need to go no contact. I think this family sucks. I think you can find better people to call your family in your life who aren't going to treat you like shit and use you as a scapegoat whenever something bad happens. I don't know. Me personally. Beans. Oh, he's licking himself. Look at him. He's so silly. Oh, now he's looking at me because I'm being loud. Beans. Hi. Hello, handsome man. Mr. Beans. Hello, sweet boy. Hello, pretty handsome man. Guys, I'm so excited for my next stream setup. There's going to be places for Beans to hang. Oh, what a loaf. What a good loaf from the handsome boy. I love him, chat. I love him. That is my pretty handsome boy. Y'all, we have a new update to this post. April 29th, 2025, 8.5 months later. The title of this post, another Am I the A-hole post, am I the a-hole for spending the exact amount of money I claimed I didn't have? I'm about to be done with this whole BS and ready to just completely cut contact with my family after this whole mess. My sister got arrested a few months ago on several charges, including child endangerment/abandonment and drug charges. She's been court ordered to go to an inpatient rehab, but our state doesn't pay for it, which means that she has to pay for it. She does not have a job and has little to no savings after burning through them on some drug bender. So not only did she abandon her child, but she abandoned her child to become a drug addict. Mother of the fucking year, chat. Awful shit. I work remotely and have a pretty decent income for my field and area. My parents are saying that I need to pitch in and help pay for the rehab because they and my brother and his wife are also paying a portion. And if I contribute, then they won't need to pay as much because it will be split 5 ways instead of 4. Absolutely fucking not, OP. Here's where I think I'm definitely the a-hole. I asked my parents for the exact amount they want me to contribute. It was a fairly decent amount. I could afford it, but I was feeling petty after everything with my sister. My best friend recently had her second baby. Yay. And I decided to take the exact amount my parents requested from me and spent it on getting my friend some extra baby supplies, toys, decorations, clothes, and a few early Mother's Day gifts. Don't get me wrong, petty as fuck, girl, that's your money. With how awful your family has treated you, in no way, shape, or form do I recommend giving any of them any of your hard-earned money. When my mom texted me and asked for the money, I sent a picture of my shopping spree for my friend and said I had already spent the money on a proper mom. Damn. And said I had already spent the money on a proper mom. I mean, she's cooking. I see no lies. She called me an a-hole and said I could have just said no and not give them hope I would pay. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? I think I am, but I feel justified. I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit, but like, I didn't like your family in the first place, so like, you're just giving them the same energy that they're giving you. In my eyes, that's how I see it. Edit, title might be confusing. I told them I had the money, then after they got their hopes up, I said I didn't have it anymore because I spent it on someone else. Sorry for the confusion. Someone commented, not the a-hole for giving the money, you're the a-hole for lying and then mocking. OP, yeah, I can admit that. I'm just so fed up with them trying to get me to cover my sister's irresponsible ass. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but if anybody deserves some lying and mocking, it's this fucking family. I truly think OP should have, instead of being petty, just gone no contact and told them to up yours. But like, I can't say that I'm not a little happy that OP was able to be petty towards this awful family. I'm kind of happy OP finally like stood their ground and gave them a little shit back, you know? I will admit it's probably not the most polite, efficient, non-a-hole thing to do, but I'm gonna go with you do you, sis, you know? Like, justified a-hole move. I like that, Echo. I think that's very true. Like, yeah, it fucking was mean, but like, justified.